The truth about Matt Rife is... Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah, and today we're going to be talking about Matt Rife. So a little backstory on Matt Rife. He started his stand-up journey when he was just 15, and so he's been practicing his craft for a little over a decade now. This year, the year of the Lord, 2023, Matt decided to start uploading his content to TikTok. And through TikTok, he has gained a massive following of mostly women, in part to his devilishly good looks. And most of you may know that Matt is currently in the spotlight because his audience is trying to cancel him because of his newest Netflix special, Natural Selection. Now for some insight on me, I am a huge comedy fan. I love stand-up, I love crowd work, I love comedy movies. I just like comedy in general. So when I first started seeing Matt Rife getting famous and that he was a comedian and how good he looks, I was really taken aback. I was like, I don't know. I didn't want to like him at first because I was like, he's just getting popular because he looks so good. And I just didn't think he would be funny. And then one day, I decided I would take a little sneak peek, at some crowd work content, and I kind of liked it. And so I started watching more, and I slowly started to like him a little bit. I was coming around to him. But even though I didn't want to be a fan because he looked good, he was growing a huge audience because he looked good. And we're starting to find out that they might have just been fans because he looked good. So Matt's audience of women are trying to cancel him right now because he opened his Netflix special with a domestic abuse joke. To sum the joke up, it was about a hostess at a restaurant having a black eye, and that maybe she wouldn't have the black eye if she could cook. This isn't a new joke. A lot of comedians do joke like these, so I wasn't taken aback by it at all. It didn't bother me in the slightest. I think jokes like these are just like your basic locker room talk kind of joke. I didn't particularly find it funny, but I also didn't find it offensive. And I definitely don't think he should be canceled because of it. And a bunch of these people, damn, that train's loud, over his state. What are you doing? Over his statement made. Hey, what are you doing? And a bunch of these women that are trying to cancel Matt for this joke are also mad about this statement published by Variety, where he ended it by saying that this special is way more for the men. But I really don't see a problem with that statement. Why is his fan base mad that he's trying to grow his audience? His audience is mostly female, so what's wrong with him trying to grow a male audience? To all the women that made a TikTok mad about that statement, what would you do if your TikTok audience was mostly men and not predominantly female? If you're a female making content, would you like it if most of your audience was men? Or would you try to do things to grow a more feminine audience? It's the same concept. Kind of seems like a double standard there. And if you watch the special, you would know that Matt does jokes on having a penis and learning how to use it for the first time. And so it kind of makes sense that the content is kind of more for the men. I mean, females can't relate. The guy wants to make dick jokes. Let him make dick jokes. There's also some irony in this controversy, being that the title of the special is Natural Selection, which is kind of exactly what Matt wanted to happen here. Towards the end of the special is the bit that he does where he got the name of the special. And in this bit, he's pretty much calling out all the people that are trying to cancel him right now because he's looking for his real fans. He's trying to find the audience that is right for him. And if you are one of the people that are trying to cancel him right now, you're obviously not one of his fans. The truth about Matt Rife is, if you're one of these people that get offended by comedians making jokes like this one, then he doesn't want you at his show. He doesn't want you being his fan anymore. And furthermore, the rest of the people in the audience probably don't want you there either. No one likes a heckler or a problem maker. Problem maker? Troublemaker. Watch this clip from one of my favorite podcasts, Two Bears, One Cave.
It's been a tricky thing to navigate. It's going back to what you were saying about my looks earlier.
Yeah.
It's created this very hungry, supportive fan base that I'm so grateful for, and has gotten me this far.
Yeah.
But now I am having to weed through those and find the real comedy fans, because that's what I've been working so hard for the past 12 years. You know?
Right. How do you do that? Like, you just...
You have to stay true to the craft, I suppose, as cheesy as that sounds. But it's like, I was talking to my best friend and tour manager the other day about how easy it would be for me to just go on stage and play into the whole I'm a young fuck boy, we lift my shirt up or whatever, and like play to the female audience, and like I could have uproarious standing ovation,
sure,
and it would be a great show for exactly what they probably want. But I'd be fucking miserable with myself.
You'd be miserable.
That's not what I want to do.
And the time limit on that would be quicker.
Oh, of course.
You know,
that would be such a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
But what's funny is, as much as I sit here and go, oh, my looks don't allow me to be perceived as a real comedian, guess how much sympathy I'm allowed to get?
Yeah.
Zero. About the amount of attention that I get, and is more on, she sees it the way I see it, like the way I see it. Like a girl will yell out in the middle of a show like, fuck me, or something wild that people yell out at these shows, right?
Crazy.
And a lot of girls will be like, you have girls yelling out to fuck you in the middle of the show. Yeah. I get off stage, she goes, what the fuck's that girl's problem?
Yeah.
That's so annoying. You're in the middle of trying out this new bit that I know you've been working so hard for, and now she ruined the entire fucking thing.
Yeah, that's a good girl.
I love that she understands.
Now watch this clip from this podcast.
Up until like April of this year, it was like 90% women coming to these shows, which weren't always for the right reasons. And they got there, and maybe they didn't like my comedy, and they go, well, maybe I wasn't a fan for the right reason, which is fine. I appreciate the immediate support, but like I'm a comedian more than anything else. So like I'm gonna do the comedy I want to do. I'm not gonna pander to what girls want me to do with the fucking belt thing that went viral for no reason. So they bring their boyfriends or husbands, who are always reluctant because they fucking probably bought the tickets.
Right.
They didn't want to be there. And then like 20 minutes into the show, they realize like my comedy is so much more for guys than it is girls. It's so funny.
You see their shoulders like start to relax, like their arms, like they're drinking their drink more. Get another drink.
My live shows, to me, I've always gone for the tone of like, I just wanted to feel like a hangout with the boys.
Right.
Like, you're gonna say some ridiculous shit from time to time, but I wanted to just feel like a hangout. Right. Like it breaks my heart that so many guys just won't give me a chance, because I'm like, dude, we could be best friends. Dude. You just never know. But so I love that they come to the show, and even if it's against their will, they get a chance to like actually see what else I do, and then more often than not, they'll leave the show having more fun than their girl did.
Right. They're coming up to you. They're like, "Can I get a picture? This is for my girl, though."
Exactly. Oh no, you'll see all the time like meet and greets and stuff like that. Like a couple will do it, and then like the girl will be the only one wanting to take the picture. The guy's like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, did you have fun? He's like, yeah. I'm like, fucking take the picture.
Right. They're hugging at the end.
Yeah, you don't gotta be weird about it.
He's like, babe, you be in the picture. I'll stand over here. It's like, no, everybody can take the picture.
No, I appreciate every dude I get. You know what I mean? Because it's like I know their intentions are nothing but purely comedy based.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you went viral a couple of times. You really picked up steam on TikTok, and you've been doing it long before that ever happened.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, because of, picking up all that steam on TikTok, you have maybe changed your comedy in a way to cater to that more, or do you like stick true to what you want to do and then that kind of takes off on its own?
Stuck to my guns 1,000%. Man, I feel for the people who come to these shows and they expect the show to just be crowd work. But unfortunately, those are just people who have never been to a comedy show ever and don't realize crowd work is... I do an hour to an hour and 15 worth of material every show, and then I'll do 5 to 10 minutes of crowd work sometimes. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Just depends on the moment, and sometimes you get some good stuff. Sometimes you just talk to somebody and it goes nowhere for 10 minutes. So you get these people that come to the shows and expect a certain thing, but I've always prided myself on building my set, my jokes, and my material to be as hopefully universally funny for everybody. So like I'll come and I'll be like, listen, internally, I know what you guys want. You want to see the crowd work thing, but that's not who I am, and it's not what I do entirely. So bear with me, give me a chance. Let me show you what the rest of the show is, and if you're lucky, I'll do the thing you want me to do. But don't come and expect.
You're all in your best behavior.
Exactly.
I will make fun of all of you to your faces.
Oh yeah, but if you're the girl who comes and wants to yell out and like to get attention to be the next TikTok, it's like I'm not gonna talk to you.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be rewarded for bad behavior. I'm not a jukebox. You know what I mean? And it's always the person who wants the most attention who's probably the least interesting person you're gonna talk to.
I was gonna ask about people who like shout things out at your show on purpose and like, do they want you to roast them? Do they know what's coming their way? Because I feel like at a comedy show, I'm trying to hide so that the comedian doesn't see me because I don't want to be called out in any capacity.
Well, it's because you're a mature adult. And you know to go to an event and not try to make it about yourself selfishly. So it's definitely annoying, but like I said, I get it. So many people who come to my shows have never been to a comedy show before, ever. But there's still a level of respect and kind of common sense. Like, you wouldn't go to Hamilton and stand up and be like, roast me. Roast me.
Look at my ass.
Shut the fuck up. Thomas Jefferson's talking right now. Besides music concerts, it's never appropriate to yell out like that in any other live performance. So I get it, but again, it's just like I got to stick to my guns, and I'm going to talk to the people I want to talk to. It's usually like the most unassuming person you would talk to. You get the best something out of. Somebody who is hiding.
Those are the biggest
exactly.
You can feel it.
Exactly. I'm not going to give attention to somebody who's just being so thirsty.
It's like when a teacher calls on somebody who's not raising their hand in class.
Exactly. And then he drops a bombshell of an answer, and she was like, oh, you were listening and not writing a manifesto. Good.
Now watch this clip.
Are there any times that you watch other comedians that they tell jokes that may hit a little too close to home?
I think a comedian has every right, he has the First Amendment, to have their own personality and to speak of things the way they want to. They're not supposed to be responsible. Sometimes in comedy, you have to be reckless. I'm as much as a comedian as I am a black man. Dave is a dear friend, I love him to death. I have a trans son, like my daughter is now my son, and I could give him my opinions, but he has every right to feel the way he wants to feel. Now, me as a parent, when I do my special, I have to handle it differently, So, but comedians, you gotta give them the license to be them.
But also, it's like when people are like, is this too much for the LGBTQ community or da-da-da. It's like, who is representing the community? Because it'd be like 3 or 4 people talking and they get to decide what the whole community thinks or feels or is gonna and that's the same with black or anything, you know what I mean? As much as there's people who are like offended by something, there's people who get it and understand the intent and find it funny. So it's like, what does it mean? Because you didn't get it, it shouldn't exist? Or because you're being the loudest about not getting it, it shouldn't exist. So I think
if
that's
it's
also
funny,
part of
if
it.
the majority of people laugh, if you tell a joke and 4,999 people laugh, and 3 people get up and walk out, that's a damn good joke.
But that's my point. We're touring this stuff. We're not just pulling this stuff out of our ass. You know what I mean? We're touring it. We're going country.
That's why you got
country
to
to country, state to state. Yeah. We're standing up in front of people and we're saying it again and again and again, and people are laughing. Also, if you rip a joke out of its context, it's like you don't even know what you're critiquing.
In print,
at that point.
it's the wildest. When you just read, you're like, this is crazy. This is insane.
Write down anything I say.
So there's no tone or anything?
My point is, if you're a real fan of Matt, you would have watched these podcasts or maybe clips from these podcasts before. Or maybe you would have seen the content that he creates with YouTube channels like TFIL, whom he has done many, many, many videos with. I've actually watched a bunch of these videos myself, and I found that he's a pretty wholesome and well-rounded guy, or as he would say, a real sweetheart. And I really think if you were a real Matt Rife fan, you would have already known this and known that the joke that he said was just a joke and had nothing to do with his real character. So if you're just a fan of Matt because he's a pretty face, then just follow him on Instagram, like his post, and keep scrolling. Please do not come to these comedy shows. It's okay to like somebody just because they're beautiful. And in case you were unaware, not all comedy shows include crowd work. So just because you bought a ticket to go see a comedian doesn't mean that they're going to talk to you or talk to the crowd necessarily at all. They could just tell their jokes and get on with their day. And another thing is that not all jokes made in comedy are real life experiences that these comedians went through. Sometimes they are literally just made up. They're just made up stories. So there's a chance that none of this really happened at all. Especially since after he told the joke, he said that he was just testing the waters, just sticking his little toe in to see how fun the crowd was going to be. Kind of like a trigger warning saying, hey, if you don't like this joke, this is your time to leave. Hey, if you don't like this joke, either strap in or leave now. Oh, and to address his apology before I skedaddle, you know the one where he put click to solve all your problems and it was just a link that led to a site for special needs helmets? That one? That apology? I actually thought it was so funny. Wow. Just wow. That is a legendary apology. That shit funny. And if you have any Matt Rife tickets that you don't want anymore, just send them my way. I'll take them. I don't mind.